Hey, how's it going? Today we are going to be learning about pizza. We're watching Tasting History with Max Miller, and it's 500-year-old pizza versus today. I'm pretty excited for this one because as much as I love pizza, I really don't know a whole lot about it. So I think this is going to be a good one. If you do get a chance, I'd appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a bunch. And I have Max's video linked in my description below, so be sure to go and check him out. Give him lots of support, watch his videos, all that good stuff. But all right, let's learn about the history of pizza.
Pop quiz hotshot. What's the Pope's favorite pizza topping? I actually don't know.
I
But
don't know.
in 1570, it might have been rose water and sugar. And that's what we're making today. A 16th century Italian pizza served in the papal court, which calls for exactly those ingredients.
Oh, that looks really interesting. This looks this looks not what I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. It looks good though.
16th century Italian pizza served in the papal court, which calls for exactly those ingredients. So thank you to Bright Cellars for sponsoring this video as we slice into the history of pizza, this time on Tasting History.
It's like such a banger.
So this recipe comes from the Opera di Bartolomeo Scappi, which
Oh.
I did an entire episode on, and I'll put a link up here in the corner so you can watch it, or I'll put one in the description as well. The entire book is filled with recipes that are quintessentially Italian Renaissance, that kind of mixture of sweet and spice that our palate might just be like, what? And this one is no different. Per fare pizza sfogliata ad un altro modo. Another way to prepare flaky pizza.
Another way to prepare flaky pizza. Oh, I love this.
Bring together 3 pounds of fine flour and 2 ounces of yeast starter, 4
3 pounds? Holy moly.
ounces of breadcrumb that is soaked in warm water, and enough salt. When the dough is made, let it rest, covered in a warm place to rise, as is done with bread. Then knead it again on the table for a half hour, adding in little by little 2 pounds of fresh butter. Knead until all of the butter has been worked into the dough and it has become soft. Split the dough up into 2 or 3 pieces, and with each piece, make the pizza in a torte pan which has fresh butter in it.
This is, oh my gosh, I feel like this is going to be so good. There's a lot of butter in here. This all sounds good.
Bake it in an oven with melted butter on top. Make several holes on top with the tip of a knife so it will not puff up too much. When it is nearly done, sprinkle with sugar and rose water. This pastry
Oh.
should be baked slowly and serve it hot.
Oh, so this is almost like, this is more pastry than what we know today. Oh, that's kind of interesting.
So does that sound at all like a pizza to you?
No.
No, not really. But frankly, the definition of pizza is kind of weird. I mean, look at Chicago-style pizza. It's basically soup. Anyway, for this
Do you consider Chicago style pizza pizza, or are you like him where like a lot of people say it's like pizza in a bread bowl? Me personally, I don't know. I can kind of see both sides of it. So, but at the same time, if that's what they want to claim, hey, I I I'm not hating on it.
recipe, what you'll need is 4 cups or 480 grams of bread flour, a quarter cup or 60 grams of high yeast biga. This will need to have a much higher yeast and flour content than your typical sourdough starter, so it might take you a little while to make that, or just add in more yeast. If you just want to use dried yeast, I'd use about a teaspoon. 6 tablespoons or 60 grams of breadcrumbs soaked in 1 cup or 120 milliliters of warm water. An additional half cup of water. 2 teaspoons of salt. 1 pound or 400 grams of unsalted butter
I still can't believe that this has a pound of butter in it. I feel like that seems like it's so much.
cut into pieces.
I am here for it though. I'm here for it. I think it's going to be delicious.
So usually during Scappi's time, butter would have a lot of salt in it, more than we'd be used to. But he specifically in this recipe calls for fresh butter. So my thought is that he's not adding the salt because the salt was added as a preservative. I don't know that, but he also calls out salt individually in the recipe. So we're doing unsalted butter and just adding salt where we need.
That I think makes a lot of sense because if I feel like if you added salt on top of a pound of salted butter, that might be a little much. That kind of seems like it would be a little bit too much. but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I know a lot of people like a lot of salt too, so maybe it'd be good.
2 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of rose water. Now you'll notice that
I have never had rose water. Is it good? Let me know if you've had rose water and if you like it or if you dislike it.
1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 teaspoon of rose water.
I guess in my head, I feel like it tastes like old lady perfume. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I'm totally off base because I have never tried it. But if you have tried it, let me know.
Now you'll notice that these are not the exact quantities that Scoppy called for because he must be making a pizza to feed, well, the entire papal court, which he probably
Yeah.
was. I cut everything in half, and it's still a lot of dough. So first, whisk the salt into the flour, then add your yeast and soaked breadcrumbs, and then mix everything together. Then add in the additional half cup of water, but only as much as you need to make it form a dough. This dough ends up being super sticky once you add in all of the butter, so don't add any more water than you need to get it to come together. If you need to add more later on, you can, but it's gonna be real sticky.
Oh.
Then knead the dough for about 10 minutes until the dough starts to smooth out. Then put it in a lightly greased bowl and cover, allowing it to double in size. Now, depending on the yeast, it could take 2 to 4 hours to rise. Mine took about 4, but it was so worth the wait. Plus, it gave me time to pour myself a glass of wine, courtesy of today's sponsor, Bright Cellars. Once the dough is risen, punch it down and turn it out onto a lightly floured surface. Stretch it into a square or rectangle and scatter a few pieces of butter on top, then fold it over to cover the butter. Then knead it until the butter is fully incorporated. Then do this again, and again, and again, until all of the butter is incorporated. Pro tip, use a stand mixer if you got it.
Oh my gosh, I feel like this would take a long time. 'Cause he didn't even add that much to like his initial one, and you gotta go through a pound. I feel like this would take a while.
Also, as you add butter into this dough, it is going to get super sticky. And if it becomes too sticky to work with, which it probably will at some point, just add some more flour. 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time, just to keep it, in dough form rather than like liquid butter form.
Fattening.
Once all the butter is incorporated and the dough is silky smooth, divide it into 3 pieces, then let it rest, preferably in the refrigerator, for about a half an hour. And while you wait, preheat your oven to 350 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius. Then butter the bottom and the sides of a large pie or cake pan. It's going to work best if you have one of those false bottom cake pans. It's just easier to get out, but you don't need it. What you do want to use is the biggest frickin' pan that you can find, because
I would imagine from the picture he showed at the beginning, it definitely looks like it's gonna be a thick boy for sure.
even halved, which is what I'm doing, this recipe calls for a lot of dough. You can also half what I'm doing, which is a quarter of what Scoppy's doing, because, I mean, if you don't have a 10-inch cake pan, which is what I used, half it. Once the dough is rested, roll it into discs the diameter of the pan and form the pizza by layering the dough pieces in the pan on top of each other. Then top it all off by brushing on a layer of melted butter. Then, using a knife, poke some holes all over the top to keep it from puffing up too much. Then set the pizza on a lined baking sheet and bake for an hour and 15 minutes.
For an hour and 15 minutes? Oh my gosh. Not gonna lie though, it looks good. It looks delicious. I would totally eat this.
Now that is a long bake time, but it's because it's a lot of frickin' dough. But
Yeah.
that gives me time to top off my glass of wine
sure.
and tell you how we got from this pizza to this pizza. So when tracking the history of pizza, we really have to figure out where to start, because if your idea of pizza is just some flatbread with stuff on it, then the ancient Greeks, Egyptians, and Indians had pizza. But I don't consider naan with some oil on it pizza. In the
Fair.
6th century BC,
That's
Persian
fair.
soldiers under Darius the Great baked flatbread on their shields and put cheese and dates on top. Closer, but pizza? I mean, they didn't call it pizza, and frankly, if you're going to call that pizza, then you have to call pancakes that have syrup and berries on it pizza, and
That's true. Where do we draw the line of this is not pizza and this is pizza, right?
pizza, then you have to call pancakes that have syrup and
Those look
berries on
delicious,
it
though.
pizza. And then where do you draw the line? Is tostada a pizza?
Oh,
No,
right?
I don't think so.
Well, then when does pizza become a thing? Well, the very first mention of pizza using the word pizza comes from 997 in Gaeta, Italy. It was found
997. Holy. Yeah, we are going back. We're going way back.
in a contract between Bernardo, the son of Duke Marino II, and the Bishop of Gaeta. And basically, if Bernardo wanted to use the bishop's mill, then every year on Christmas Day, you and your heirs must pay us 12 pizze, 12 pizzas. And similarly, 12 pizzas and a couple of chickens on the
Oh.
day of Holy Easter of Resurrection. So even before our papal pizza today, bishops were eating it. Very popular dish amongst the clergy. Now, the first recipe for something called pizza comes from 1524 in the Manoscritto Lucano. And then, some years later, in 1570, we have 5 pizza recipes in Bartolomeo Scappi's opera, which we are making one of today.
I have to applaud him for his pronunciation on all of this because I could not do this. I I would be fumbling and just failing left and right. So we have to give him some props for all his pronunciations all the time, like in all of his videos, the way that he is so good at this because I find this very admirable because I can barely speak English and that is the only language that I do speak.
Scappi is also the first mention of that link between Naples and pizza. To prepare a torte with various ingredients called pizza by Neapolitans. Though some of the ingredients include pine nuts, dates, figs, raisins, and cinnamon.
Oh.
None of which are available at Domino's. Maybe at Papa John's, though. Now, that connection between Naples and pizza is very important because Naples is often credited with being the birthplace of what we know as pizza today. But it was not papal pizza like we are making today. It is poor people pizza. It was a food for the poor, or the lazzarone, as Alexandre Dumas said. And he didn't seem to hold them in high regard. But the pizza that they were eating sounds a lot more like what we would know as pizza today. The lazzarone usually eats 2 things: pizza and watermelon.
Pizza and watermelon. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad combination. You get your carbs, protein, and then you get a little bit of fruit. I mean, hey, you're good. You are good to go.
Pizza is round in shape and is kneaded from the same dough as bread. It comes in different widths depending on the price. A 2-farthing pizza is enough for a man. A 2-penny should fill a whole family. The pizza is with oil. The pizza is with bacon. The pizza is with
Yeah.
lard. The pizza is with cheese. The pizza is with tomatoes. The pizza is with small fish.
Oh, I don't know about the small fish one, but but everything else on this list, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Bacon, yes. Absolutely. And this is 1841. Dang. That's pretty cool.
The word pizza has lost all meaning at this point in the video. Now, he mentions cheese and tomatoes, and those, I would think, are pretty important to pizza today. And for more on the amazing history of tomatoes specifically, you should watch this video up here, I'll put it in the description, on the history of tomatoes, aka the badass name Wolf Peach. It's a really good video.
Ooh, I love that name. Wolf Peach. I love that. I might have to watch this video just because it's called Wolf Peach. History of tomatoes. I'm gonna have to add that one.
Now, the Lazzarone mostly ate these pizzas on weekdays as they saved up their money so they could buy macaroni on Sundays, though macaroni did not necessarily look like macaroni as we think of it. And if you still had trouble saving up enough, then you could get a discount pizza if you were fine with day-old pizza, which I usually am. Dumas even says, there are week-old pizzas for those with small purses. These can, if not pleasantly, at least advantageously replace seafood biscuits.
Oh, I mean, is that what we think it is? Like, is our fish and stuff in the biscuits? I don't know how I feel about that one. That one seems a little, maybe more out there, I guess. But I could eat pizza for a week. Absolutely, 100%.
Week-old pizza before refrigerators?
The cheese.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Ooh, that's gonna have a little zest to it, I think.
Seafood biscuits. Week-old pizza? Before refrigerators?
The cheese is old and moldy.
I'm guessing it was one of these pizzas that prompted Samuel Morse, the inventor of the telegraph, to describe pizza as a species of most nauseating cake covered over with slices of pomodoro or tomatoes and sprinkled with little fish and black pepper and I know not what other ingredients. It all together looks like a piece of bread that had been taken reeking out of the sewer.
Savage food review type deal we got here. Oh my goodness. Oh, get wrecked, I guess. Damn. If somebody were to ask you how pizza was and this was your response, oh man, I don't know. I don't know what would happen. I'd be like, no, I'm good. I think I'll pass on this one.
That was probably just a piece of Chicago-style deep dish. Ooh, fighting words. Now, in general, the pizza was not looked on with high regard, and Dumas even says, you can't eat a pizza without risking suffocation. Was Dumas a drama queen or severely gluten intolerant? You decide.
That is quite the question there. I'm going to say dramatic. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say dramatic. He looks like he's dramatic. I mean, if this is a portrait of him, he just looks dramatic to me. That's just me judging.
Was Dumas a drama queen or severely gluten intolerant? You decide. Though I do wonder if Dumas actually mixed up this week-old pizza with pizza a otto, which was basically you got fresh pizza today, but you had to pay for it 8 days later, like layaway or the payday lenders of 19th century Naples. Now, these pizzas tended to be small, kind of personal-sized pizzas that were sold on the streets by street vendors, though there were some more reputable locations where you could eat pizza, including a tavern that was founded in the 18th century called Pizzeria di Pietro e Basta Così, which translates roughly to the most stereotypically Italian-sounding name ever. Peter's Pizza Place, and that's enough.
What? That is so cool. Oh, I love that.
How great is that?
It's awesome.
And it is in this shop, later renamed Pizzeria Brandi, where we get pizza's most famous origin story. It's probably, well, it's definitely not completely true. It's probably somewhat true, but here it is. In 1889, Umberto I, king of a recently unified Italy, and his wife, Queen Margherita, decided to branch out from the French cuisine of the palace and headed to Naples, where they commissioned Raffaele Esposito, the then owner of Pizzeria Brandi, to make 3 pizzas. One with lard, one with fish, and one with basil, tomato, and fresh mozzarella. Queen Margherita tried the first pizza and said, "This pizza is too fatty." She tried the second pizza and said, "This pizza is too fishy." Finally, she tried the third pizza, the one with mozzarella, tomato, and basil, and she said, "This pizza is just right." And thus was born the Pizza Margherita. It even had the 3 colori, or colors, of the Italian flag: green basil, white mozzarella, and red tomatoes. Again, probably not entirely true. Well, it's definitely not entirely true, but there might be some truth to it. But Naples says that this is how it happened, and the story is just too good not to accept without question.
That is true. This is a great story about it. Whether it's 20% accurate or 99% accurate, I think I really like that story. Really, I think it's kind of cute, and it's kind of funny. Pretty cool.
But even with the Queen on board, pizza still stayed a food of the poor, and thank God it did, because those were the people who brought it to America. In the late 19th and early 20th century.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, poor people coming to settle here and bringing us pizza. And because, man, I love pizza. I don't know anybody that doesn't like pizza.
Century, poor Italian immigrants brought pizza to the streets of New York City. Now, pizza was being sold all over the streets of New York, especially in Little Italy, but the first place that is credited with the first pizza, because they went and got a license, that's why, is called Lombardi's on Spring and Mott Street in Little Italy, and that is just 1 block from my first New York apartment. It was so small, great area, but it was so small that my bedroom door could not open all the way because I had a twin bed in there.
Oh my God, with a twin bed? Bro's living in a closet.
and that got in the way. So could you really call it a bedroom if it
Yeah,
can't fit
right.
a bed? But pizza's still
Or he's living in like a little pantry. Gosh, I mean, I bet he probably had a great time, but I bet that kind of sucks.
Could you really call it a bedroom if it can't fit a bed? But pizza still really hadn't taken off outside of the Italian-American community. For that, we would have to go to war. When our brave boys returned home from fighting in Italy in WW2, they brought back a love of Italian food. And one of those Italian foods was pizza. It was the perfect food for the new suburban lifestyle. It could be made at home, or it could be made for delivery, and pizza places started popping up in cities all over the country. In 1958, Pizza Hut opened.
Ah,
And in 1960, Tom and James Monahan bought the Michigan pizzeria Dominic's and changed the name to Domino's. This is also when frozen pizza was becoming popular, and I do love a frozen pizza. To this day, I cannot do Halloween. Halloween has to start with a Red Baron pizza.
oh, he's got good taste. I do enjoy Red Baron pizzas as well. Um, I have the French bread pizzas. Those are really good. I really like those. Those are delicious. I like pretty much anything Red Baron when it comes to if I buy a frozen pizza from the grocery store, it's usually always Red Baron. I've never tried a whole lot of other ones, like other than like the really, really cheap ones, like the Totino's pizzas, because they're like 80 cents or something like that. So sometimes we have those just because they're like cheap and it's like nice to have. And then, but I don't think I've never had like DiGiorno or anything like that. But like, what is your favorite frozen pizza, I guess? What is your go-to?
I do not know why, but every Halloween I eat myself an entire Red Baron pizza
Hell
all by
yeah.
myself, just as I did when I was a little kid. I was a chubby kid. I was a big kid. I wore husky pants.
Same, same. I was a little chonker as a kid. I feel you. I feel you, bro.
Just as I did when I was a little kid. I was a chubby kid. I was a big kid. I wore husky pants. But man, I do love a Red Baron pizza. I only do it once a year now, though. What's interesting is that back in Old Italy, pizza still hadn't really gotten out of Naples and a few other places like Sicily. But when American tourists started showing up in Italy and they wanted pizza and Pisa, the other parts of Italy had to step up and start making their own kinds of pizza. And it didn't go great at first. Some of the country was so bad at mimicking Neapolitan pizza that the city of Naples founded AVPN, or the Associazione Verace Pizza Napoletana, which laid the groundwork
This is like the pizza police. As they probably should have. I mean, it is Italy.
for the Associazione Verace Pizza Napoletana, which laid the groundwork for what makes pizza pizza. But I think that it was a little too late. The cat was already out of the bag because here in America we were making sushi pizza and pizza bagels, and
Oh, I do love pizza bagels though too. Pizza bagels are so good. And I currently just heard of breakfast pizza. I didn't know, I had no idea about breakfast pizza. That is a new thing. I haven't tried one yet, but I am dying to.
America, we were making sushi pizza and pizza bagels, and we had really done whatever we want with pizza. Heck, you
True.
could even come over to my house later tonight and have yourself a pizza with rose water and sugar, because I'm pretty sure my pizza's about done.
Yeah.
So at an hour and 15
Oh
minutes, open
my.
up the oven and quickly brush on the rose water and sprinkle with sugar. Then let it bake for another 15 minutes or until it's baked all the way through. And then your papal pizza is ready to eat. And here we are, Scappi's pizza from the Italian
good.
Renaissance. Now this is a real pizza work. So,
It's pretty thick. I'm not gonna lie. Like this looks like a very, very thick piece of bread. But it also looks delicious. I bet it smells delicious. All that butter in there, oh, I bet it's good. I bet it's good.
it smells amazing. I mean, it smells
yeah.
like fresh, it kind of smells like croissants.
Oh, okay.
I let it cool. You need to let it cool before you cut into it because the butter needs so much butter. Here we go. It's give this a taste.
Mm.
I don't think it, maybe it overrose, or I'm not sure. It's gonna be fine. That's delicious.
Oh, yeah.
It's not pizza.
But it's good.
I mean, that's fantastic. The rose is so subtle. I can just taste some of the top. The rose is so subtle. It's there on the top. That's wonderful. Wow. I would make it thinner next time. I'd do like a half of my recipe.
I wonder if you could just do like one, like, I guess you could still have 2 layers, but like maybe make them a little bit thinner, possibly. Because that is thick. That is, I wouldn't say no to this, but it does look very, very, like, that is a thick boy slice there.
Wow. I would make it thinner next time. I'd do like a half of my recipe. I really think that that's probably the way to go. This is nice, but oh my God, it's so much bread. You know, we're not gonna eat this. But, is it pizza? I mean, it's called pizza, but I think it would be like if somebody said, hey, are you a doctor? And I said, yes, I'm a doctor. And then they found out I'm a doctor of, you know, like the oboe performance or something like that. I mean, yeah, I'm a doctor, but
Right.
I'm not a doctor. By the way, I'm not a doctor of anything, so that's just a story. But this is some really good pizza. Just, you know, don't tell your friends that it's pizza. They'll think you're crazy.
To be fair, we got to start somewhere, right? So, to get from, what was considered pizza to what we consider pizza today, everything's got a history. So this was just our starting point of it was laying the groundwork to the absolutely delicious pizza that we have today. So I am not judging it by that. And the fact that it looks delicious, he says it's delicious, it looks good. I mean, like, I'm sold. I'm sold. In my book, you can call this pizza.
Pizza. Just, you know, don't tell your friends that it's pizza. They'll think you're crazy. Instead, tell them this is pizza, which is also delicious, and this is what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. I'll see you next time on Tasting History. That's pizza.
Oh, I want
That's pizza.
I thought this video was great. This was good. What an interesting history pizza has. I would have never thought that it was going to be this like this old. I mean, I figured pizza probably went back, quite a ways, but didn't realize it went back that far. Really, really interesting that we've come from this to like what we have as pizza today. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. If you did make it to the end of the video, put in your favorite pizza toppings in the comments. I would love to know. My favorite is pepperoni or the supreme toppings, which is like green peppers, sausage, black olives, pepperoni. Those are probably like my absolute favorites. So, but I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Be sure to go and watch Max. It's Tasting History with Max Miller. Be sure to go and watch his videos, like his videos, subscribe to him, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one.